Hi everybody, Mick Levinskas from She's Building a Robot here, and I'm joined from Vancouver by Piyali. Hi Piyali, how you going?
Hi, doing well. How are you, Mick?
Really good, thank you. We met just a few weeks ago in Vancouver. I was lucky enough to grab a coffee, and I was really excited to hear so many amazing things happening in Vancouver, which we will get to soon. But can you tell all the world what you do and what you're working on?
So I work as a program manager in the cloud advocacy team for Microsoft Canada. So what I do is I work with an amazing team of cloud advocates here in Canada, and we teach communities, we teach our audience all about AI and cloud, all the amazing things we are doing. We write super cool content that are available on web for everyone to use. We host workshops, we go to conferences. So it's pretty much about awareness and how we can help the communities.
Fantastic. And I want you to go way, 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 way back. Well, not as far back as me, because you're clearly younger than me, but back to when you first had your first major interaction with technology and got excited about it. How did that introduction happen? Was it from a family member, a teacher, a program? Like, how did you first get excited about tech?
Yeah, so I come from an engineering background actually. So my father is an electrical engineer himself. So from very young age, I was exposed to a lot of engineering tools and contents and the engineering ecosystem back in India. So that kind of got me intrigued that okay, I want to study engineering too. But then in high school, I took a couple of computer science classes, and I completely fell in love with the programming, the mathematics and statistics and all those courses. So that's why I ended up taking my bachelor's in computer science degree in India.
Ah,
Yeah.
fantastic. And tell me, what was that like? Was there a good balance of women in the courses you were doing? Were there any particular challenges that you faced as a woman in tech? I'm not trying to hope that there is some, because I wish there weren't. But I just want to sort of share some of those challenges and maybe how you got through them.
Yeah, sure. So in India, actually, my experience was very different because in my class, throughout that 4 years of degree program, in each of those classes, I had probably like 50-50 women and men participation. So this is one of the reasons that before I came here in US for my master's degree, it didn't really occur to me that, a gender problem is such a big thing in tech. And when I look back now and I try to think that why it is like that in India and why it's not like this here, I think one of the reasons is, for obvious reason, India being a developing country, engineering jobs and occupations are like the highest paid salary
Right.
profession. So it's kind of like the kids are more gravitated towards studying engineering, not always because they are in love with engineering, but mostly because they know that if they do well in school, they'll actually end up with a good job that pays good money for their like in their life. So probably that is why a lot of my friends actually ended up in engineering school. Whereas when I compared that ecosystem in here in US or in Canada, there are a lot more opportunities there in different other fields, in maybe like literature and science. And so people actually have to make a very conscious decision that do I want to study engineering? So probably that's one of the reason, and something is going on there during that process. We have so many, like so few women here.
It's really interesting to think about the different opportunities and how what they mean to people who are studying, and to know that there are very different landscapes across the world. So that's great that you had that opportunity. And I think with the growth of tech now, that I hope that we get more to a 50-50 position in more places around the world, because, as you said, in other parts of tech, there is still significant gaps, unfortunately. Okay, fantastic. And what are some of the parts of technology now that really excite you? Like, what do you love about it the most?
I think for me, the progress that we have in the domain of artificial intelligence that actually So so as a program manager, I actually work very closely with the artificial intelligence and cloud technology here in Microsoft. And I'm totally blown away by the type of things that we are coming up these days. I mean, the kind of, like the privileges, or maybe you can say like the kind of things we are doing right now to solve problems for other people. Those are just mind blowing. So I'm really, really looking forward. Like coming 5 or 10 years would be amazing to see. Yeah.
That's really interesting. And so knowing now, so obviously you are in the thick of things with Microsoft and AI and cloud. If there's a teenage woman out there now who loves tech or is thinking about tech, how should they think about those opportunities of AI and all that sort of technology? Do you need to pick something specific and go for it, or can you stay broad and explore? Like, what are some of your thoughts about approaching developing a career in technology?
Yeah, absolutely. So I can give you like a broad answer here in terms of any technology, not just AI and tech. Because one of the things that I feel these days is when I was growing up back in India, I didn't have that much of online resources available that we have right now. Because now, like the online course platforms, most of the courses are free. So I think the one problem that we have to solve here is, are you really interested in solving other problems? Because the rest of it is already taken care of. So if you have an interest in tech, I can tell you like a couple of things. First, just go online, just do some some Google search, some sort of searching, that just to make sure that what it means for you, what kind of problems you want to solve in your future. And then there are like so many community groups. The developer community groups all around the world is amazing. Like whenever I go to any universities to do a hackathon and students come up to me and say, hey, how do I get involved? How do I know more? And my one advice there is to just go out to these meetups, to these technical meetups, just meet people, because sometimes it gets frustrating that you are just starting out, you have like a bunch of, like technical contents to go through alone online, and you don't really understanding what's happening there, and you kind of feel like, no, this is probably not for me, this is too difficult. But at the same time, if you just go out and interact with other professionals, and just attend those talks and just hang out, just chit chat, a lot of those complicated things actually gets solved very easily. So my one advice is to just go out and meet other folks.
It's interesting for you to talk about that. In your experience, is the tech world a competitive space where everyone's trying to beat each other and be better than each other, or is it more collaborative?
I feel it's more collaborative because I am involved with a lot of open source projects, and I have seen people who are collaborating, like from different continents, different time zones. They speak different languages, and it's really like with GitHub in place these days. The way developers are using GitHub, it actually like it brought out a whole new meaning of how we collaborate. Because before, when there was no GitHub, or maybe GitHub was not that popular, we had to sit together to work on something. Now that we have this free platform that you can just go anywhere, start contributing to any project, I feel it's getting more and more collaborative with every passing day.
That's great. And so you from India, studied in the US, and now in Canada. Any brief observations about the actual tech industries in those three different countries, like from someone who has that experience that I certainly don't have?
Mm-hmm. I think in US though, like when I moved there for my graduate study, my first challenge was I was shocked of like by seeing like how few girls were in my algorithm class or data structure class. Like for a moment I thought I'm taking the wrong courses. Like why none of my friends are there? So then I started to ask around. I asked questions that what's happening there, because it was a complete new experience for me. And I figured that there is a lot of like lack of knowledge when girls are going into high school and they have to select a discipline to go to college. There are a lot of misinformation or lack of information, if you will, that is kind of pushing them taking taking a path that they don't necessarily like.
Okay.
For example, like when I started mentoring students, high school girls, I asked them that, hey, you are so good at math and I see you are really getting it, but why don't you apply for like computer science degree? And I heard all kinds of answers. Like few of the girls, they told me, oh, my dad said that it's for my brothers to study, not for me. That was like a shocking experience for me. I'm like, why? But then on the other hand, I heard answers like, if I learn coding, I have to sit in a basement and code all day, but I don't want to do that. So what more I can do if I learn programming? So these were the questions that I never had to answer in India. It was, we kind of knew that if we study this program, we can do these many things. That awareness was there. But here, I kind of felt like it was missing. There's some sort of misinformation or something was going on. So that is why, like, since then it's been 8 years now. I am so involved in the DNI communities, talking to kids from high school, freshman years, just to tell them the story. And I think one of the things that matters so much these days is having a role model in front of your eye, just so that you can look up to someone and you can see that, okay, all these things I have heard, they are not necessarily true.
Yeah.
You start question those beliefs.
That's
so
right.
That's kind of thing that I'm trying to do, and hopefully trying to help other kids in the process.
Well done. I think just doing the work you're doing is definitely being a role model too. And what about Canada? Tell me about Canada as a tech nation. It's right next to a very big market, but it's quite different. What are some of those differences? What are some of the things that make Canada special?
I can definitely talk about like Vancouver and Toronto. These are probably the two big cities with like hot tech scene. So I've been in Silicon Valley for about 3 years before I moved to Vancouver. One of the differences that I thought is I felt like Vancouver community is more close knit in the way that we solve problem together, we do brainstorm together, and if there is a challenge, we kind of face it together. And in Silicon Valley, it was really competitive at some level, because it was about profit all the time. It was about like getting ahead of others. So in Vancouver, I would say it's a very, very startup friendly ecosystem. There is a lot of investment coming in. BC government takes a huge interest in help the startup companies here in Vancouver. So over the last 2 years, there are a lot of new offices are opening up. Even the Silicon Valley offices opening their branch, like Apple is coming here. We have few other companies that are opening their second headquarter in Vancouver. So the tech system is very, very hot right now. So we see a lot of opportunities. Thousands of people will get hired in the next 2 or 3 years. So.
Great. And you've got a huge event coming up August 6, 2019. So coming up soon. Can you tell me a bit about it?
Sure, yeah. So August 6th to 8th is Traction Conference in Vancouver. Traction is a premier conference for startup people all over Canada. And so Microsoft for Startups is one of the title sponsors for this year. And we are having an event at our Microsoft Vancouver office on August 6th, talking about how you can scale your solutions in cloud, what are the challenges doing it, and how you can overcome those challenges. As well as we also have a panel afterwards where we're going to talk about some of the challenges that the women founders face, specifically a little bit of D&I discussion, and there will be a couple of startup founders on the panel talking about what they have done to achieve this success. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
that's great. Is there still tickets available for all the other events and things?
Yeah, it is. So if you go to Traction website, it's the event is posted there. So
We'll put a link below somewhere or here or somewhere. So, yeah, we'll put a link up. That's great. Excellent. Well done being a part of that. And I've got to make sure I do a big shout out to Annie Parker, who's a part of the Microsoft startup team, who introduced us. So Annie and I and Charlotte were co-founders of Muridi in Australia, and now she's doing great things around the whole world with Microsoft. So it looks like it's going to be a great event. And tell me, of the companies you've seen in Vancouver or Canada more generally, what's one company you'd love to tell us about that's doing incredible things?
there are a lot of company actually. It's very hard to pick just one, but
Well, I mention a few if you want, but give us some that are getting you excited, or some you've seen recently which are doing really interesting new ideas.
Yeah, so I am actually really closely working with Launch Academy these days. So they are a startup incubator in Vancouver, and one of the top 2 or 3 in Canada, global even. So I've been working with the CEO of Launch Academy, Ray Walia. So Traction is their conference. So they are the point person running it. So they are hosting and supporting a lot of cool people who have startup ideas, but they are going through that initial challenge period. So Launch Academy is one place that I absolutely love. And cooperate and collaborate with them. The other few companies, I can tell that there is a company. Okay, now I have to remember the names. But
it's so hard. All the names are so strange these days. It's
yes, I know. Like Asana from Silicon Valley, they are opening up an office in Vancouver, so we're pretty excited about it. There's a lot of talks going on. They are hiring like crazy. So I love Asana product. I use one of their products, so that's I love it.
Excellent.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean it's a very hot startup ecosystem right now in Vancouver. Sure.
Where's the best place for people to go to find out about the Microsoft's startup programs?
So if you go to the website microsoftstartups.com, it has everything listed, and it has its own program. Like if you have a startup, if you have some sort of funding and an idea to how to go forward, I would highly encourage to check that website out. And so there is an application process online. If you apply, one of our team members will reach out to you for further conversation.
Fantastic. Piyali, thank you so much for sharing your story to the She's Building a Robot team. Thanks for being a role model yourself in tech, and thanks again for the coffee in Vancouver. Excellent coffee in Vancouver. So I was really impressed by it all. So good luck with the conference in early August, and I hope to get there soon one day, maybe to do a talk of my own. But again, thank you so much for your support, and take care.
Yeah, thanks, Ming. Thanks for the chat. Bye. Take care.